The Kingdom Within, a Vibrational Awakening. Introduction. There are audiobooks you listen to out of habit, and there are others that arrive like a call from the deepest part of your soul. This one wasn't created to entertain you. It was created to activate you. Inspired by the teachings of Emmet, this audiobook will lead you into a remembrance. It doesn't matter whether you found this by chance, by intuition, or because something inside you no longer matches the world around you. You're here because a forgotten part of you has guided you back to where you truly belong, within. Maybe you asked for it in silence, without words, in the middle of a long night, in that subtle feeling that life cannot be just this. This is not an audiobook of quick solutions or prefabricated phrases. It is a sonic ritual, a mirror without filters, a frequency designed to touch you where the mind cannot reach. You're not going to receive formulas. You're going to remember pulses. You're not going to learn something new. You're going to recover what you already knew and had buried. Here it's not about asking. It's about assuming, about stopping negotiating with the universe and starting to remember that you structure it. Because nothing manifests if you don't vibrate it, and nothing changes outside if you're not willing to disarm yourself inside. This audiobook is a crack in the programming. A download that doesn't seek to convince you but to resonate with you. If you choose to keep listening, prepare yourself. You're not going to remain the same. Because what gets activated can no longer be turned off. The kingdom of heaven is not elsewhere. It is not a reward. It is a remembrance. It is not above you. It is within you, buried beneath the noise of fear, doubt, guilt, and inherited illusion. You were taught to seek, but you were never shown that what you seek is seeking you through every beat of your heart. So close your outer eyes now. Turn inward, not to escape the world, but to learn the truth that sets you free. You were never meant to wander outside the garden. The gate was never locked. The kingdom has always been within. Chapter 1. The Spiritual Law Above All Laws. There are no miracles, only higher laws. You stand now at the threshold of remembrance, and what you are about to recall will shatter every limitation you thought was real. Listen carefully. There are no miracles. Let that disturb you for a moment. Then let it liberate you completely. There are only laws, higher laws, invisible to the five senses, but felt by the soul that dares to listen beyond the noise of the world. What we call a miracle is not a break in the system. It is a deeper understanding of the system. It is not the suspension of natural law. It is the activation of spiritual law. Jesus did not walk on water because he defied nature. He walked on water because he was in perfect vibrational alignment with a higher nature. His consciousness was so unified with divine law that matter had no choice but to obey. He did not heal the sick by wishful thinking. He aligned himself so completely with the law of life, the law of wholeness, that sickness had no frequency to maintain itself. He was not a magician. He was a master of consciousness. And you are made of the same substance, the same spirit. The same breath of God animates your body. The difference is not in essence, it is in awareness. It is in the frequency you're broadcasting to the field of infinite intelligence. You have lived under the illusion that you are at the mercy of circumstances, but the truth is you are under the law, spiritual law, and that law responds to your consciousness like a divine mirror. When you think in harmony with truth, the outer world rearranges itself, not because you forced it, but because the law demands it, because your vibration has become so coherent, so aligned, that reality has no choice but to reflect it back to you. You have been using this law your entire life, but unconsciously, like someone broadcasting a radio signal without knowing what frequency they're on. Now you will use it with intention. You will become the conscious director of your inner world, and therefore the author of your outer one. This is the law above all laws. The inner determines the outer. Not sometimes, not occasionally, not when the stars align. Always. As surely as gravity pulls the leaf from the branch, your thoughts, your feelings, your inner patterns pull conditions into your experience with mathematical precision. This is not superstition. This is not hope. This is the architecture of reality operating through spiritual law. To the untrained eye, it looks random. To the awakened mind, it is law in motion. Divine order is expressed through consciousness. Do you understand the power of this? It means you are not a victim of fate nor a pawn of chance. You are a creative center, a broadcasting station, transmitting frequency into a field of infinite response. And the field, like a divine mirror, does not judge what you send. It reflects it. It amplifies it. It returns it. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. What you call life is not happening to you. It is happening through you, as a projection of your inner dominion, as a reflection of the kingdom within. So the real work is not out there. It is in here, in the sacred space of your consciousness, where all creation begins. You have been trained to fight shadows, to fix effects, to plead for divine intervention. But now you will remember there is nothing to fix, only something to recognize. When the soul aligns with the law, there is no need to wrestle with matter. The higher overrides the lower, always. Not through force, but through frequency. You were not made to strive. You were made to create. And creation happens through law. Not human law, not religious law, but the law of mind, the law of consciousness, the law of cause and effect, in their purest spiritual form. Let this be written in your heart. Nothing comes into form unless it was first held in consciousness. Nothing endures in the outer unless it is fed by the inner. Your dominant vibration determines the tone of your life. Yes, this means responsibility, but it also means liberation. Complete and total liberation. You do not need to beg God for favors. You need only to align yourself with the laws God has already placed within you. The divine is not outside you, deciding your fate. The divine is the law that beats your heart, that shapes your world, that flows through your being like light through crystal. Jesus did not say, "Beg, and it shall be given." He said, "Ask, and you shall receive." But the asking was not desperation. It was alignment. It was a mental agreement with what already exists in the infinite. The law does not wait. It responds, instantly. But often our reception is delayed by doubt, fear, or internal contradiction. You must become single-eyed. You must see with the vision of truth, not appearances. If you see yourself as limited, broken, or helpless, you will live in the reflection of that belief. But if you see yourself as one with divine mind, as the expression of infinite intelligence, as a being under spiritual law and not material chance, then you rise, and the world must rise with you. So stop asking if miracles are possible. Start asking, what law am I currently obeying with my consciousness? You are never without the law. You are always within one, whether you realize it or not. And now you will live from the higher. There are no miracles. There is only the truth revealed. The higher law is not waiting to bless you. It is waiting for you to remember that you are its vessel. You are not at the mercy of life. You are under divine jurisdiction, and divine law has never lost a case. Chapter 2. The Thought That Shapes Your World. Your mind is the architect of reality. Your world is not built from the outside in. It is built from the inside out. Every wall, every window, every shadow, and every light that surrounds you is the echo of an inner cause, a vibration released, a thought believed and sustained. The outer is not the sculptor, it is the sculpture. The artist is your mind, and the chisel is thought. You live in a house of mirrors. Not one image is independent of your gaze. Change the gaze and the reflection changes. This is not a metaphor. This is the most direct law in the universe. If your world is in chaos, the wise do not rush to rearrange the furniture of circumstance. They go inward. They locate the seed. Because only when the root is transformed will the fruit change form. Your mind is not a passive receiver. It is a projector. Your thoughts do not observe reality. They produce it. And the screen of life? It does not resist. It reflects with perfect fidelity. Everything around you has bloomed from an invisible seed. A belief, a mental image, a word, a feeling held long enough to take root in the soil of your subconscious mind. You may believe this is too much power to hold, but it has been yours all along. You simply forgot that the garden was yours to tend. Jesus said, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." He did not say, "So he will become." He said, "So is he." Present tense, immediate, absolute. Because a notion becomes your identity the instant it settles in your heart, subconscious or feeling mind, and your identity then becomes your experience. The secret place he spoke of was not a temple or mountaintop. It was the inner chamber of your consciousness, where no one sees, but all is decided. Where the true work of prayer, creation, and transformation occurs. You must understand, it is not the conscious thought alone that shapes your world. It is the dominant thought, the one you return to, the one you nurture in silence, the one that echoes without resistance through your emotional body. You cannot fake vibration. The universe responds not to your lips but to your inner state. If you affirm light while feeling lack, if you declare peace while vibrating in fear, the response will match your feeling, not your phrase. For feeling is the language of the subconscious, and the subconscious is the womb of creation. What you impress upon it, persistently, emotionally, believingly, will emerge in form, not because you forced it, but because you aligned with the law, because you became coherent in your transmission. You may say, "But I didn't choose this pain," and perhaps not consciously, but what you believe about life, about yourself, about God, those beliefs are seeds, and they bear fruit regardless of whether you call them good or bad. Your suffering is not a punishment, it is the manifestation of a pattern. And every pattern can be rewritten once you see it clearly. Once you stop running from it and start transforming it. The key is this: your mind is not fixed, your beliefs are not stone, they are clay, and spirit is ready to shape them, if you allow it. You are not trapped. You are just repeating what you once accepted as true. And now, you are waking up. Begin to observe your thoughts, not with judgment but with reverence. Each one carries a seed of creation. Each one is an architect drawing blueprints for your tomorrow. You cannot afford to think casually. You cannot afford to repeat words rooted in fear, shame, or lack. Not because you will be punished, but because you will be obeyed. The universe is not a judge. It is a servant of the law. It does not punish false thoughts. It manifests them so that you may see them and choose again. Every unwanted condition is a teacher, not because it belongs to you, but because it reveals what you've been hosting in the sacred space of your mind. And when you change the guest list, when you decide what thoughts may enter and take residence, you change the house. You change the world. Your consciousness is the gatekeeper of reality. What you admit will live with you. What you deny will leave. But you must be consistent. You must be vigilant. You must be intentional. You are not powerless. You are powerful beyond all reckoning. But until you take custody of your thought, you will live in a world that feels foreign, even hostile. You may ask, how do I change my thought when the world around me says otherwise? And the answer is this: you do not wait for the world to change to believe. You believe in changing the world. You hold the new thought like a candle in a storm. Protect it, feed it, return to it when the winds howl and the doubt tempts you to revert. Every great transformation begins in silence, not with trumpets, not with spectacle, but with a quiet revolution in the mind of the one who dares to think newly. This is spiritual courage, to stand firm in the unseen, to declare light in the presence of shadow, to remember the truth when appearances scream otherwise, and every time you do, the law responds. The pattern begins to shift. The mirror begins to change. What you think consistently and believingly becomes what you live. What you feel from the depth of the heart becomes what you receive. You do not think of controlling the world. You think to shape your agreement with spirit. And in that agreement, the world aligns. This is not a denial of reality. It is an upgrade of it. You are not stuck. You are becoming. So now, beloved soul, begin to think with purpose. Begin to choose your thought as you would choose your breath. Because thought is not trivial, it is the substance of your tomorrows, and what you hold within you today will rise as sure as the sun to greet you in the world you call real. So think in alignment with your highest knowing. Think as one who remembers the kingdom. Think as if the law is already listening, because it is, and what you plant now will bloom in the time of harvest. Chapter 3. The kingdom is a state of consciousness. Heaven is not a place, it is a frequency. You've searched for heaven in the sky, in temples, in futures not yet born. But heaven was never a destination. It was never elsewhere. It was always here. Not in location, but in perception. Not in distance, but in vibration. The kingdom is not where you go. It is where you awaken. Heaven is not a reward for the righteous. It is the natural condition of the awakened mind. It is what happens when consciousness remembers its true nature. When Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is within you," he was not being poetic. He was being precise, literal, revolutionary. He was revealing the greatest secret ever hidden from human awareness. Heaven is a dimension of consciousness, a lens through which reality is transformed, not because the world changes, but because you do, because your frequency shifts, because your vibration aligns with truth. It is a state where God is recognized as the only presence, the only power, the only substance of everything you see and feel, where separation dissolves and unity is revealed. The fall of man was not a fall from grace, it was a fall from awareness, a slip into the illusion of separation, a forgetting of the divine core within, a descent from the frequency of wholeness into the frequency of division. And redemption? Redemption is not some cosmic bargain. It is not bought with suffering. It is simply the moment you remember again, the moment you lift your eyes inward and say, "Oh, I never left." The kingdom is not a place you enter. It is a frequency you attune to. And you are attuning all the time, whether you realize it or not. Every thought, every emotion, every intention is a tuning fork. When you think with fear, you descend into the realm of separation. You see division, scarcity, lack, and competition. You feel far from the divine. You believe yourself a creature, struggling to be heard by a distant God. But when you think with love, not sentiment, but spiritual recognition, the veil lifts, the illusion fades, and the gates of the kingdom swing open, not outside, but within your own being. You were never banished from heaven. You simply looked away. You forgot to look within. You forgot that the kingdom was your natural home. And the return. It's not across time or space, it's across a single thought, a single holy instant where you turn inward and say, "I remember." Every act of fear is forgetfulness. Every act of faith is remembrance. Every moment of love is a return to the kingdom. Every instant of peace is heaven expressing through you. The world teaches that peace is something to pursue, but the truth reveals that peace is your original condition. You are not working to become divine. You are learning to release what never was. Fear, guilt, doubt. These are not your true nature. They are inherited programs picked up from a world that has forgotten itself. When you release them, you don't lose anything real. You simply uncover what has been there all along. Heaven is not in the distant future. It is present moment awareness purified of distortion. It is the mind washed clean of judgment, the heart emptied of division, the soul returned to single vision. You cannot enter the kingdom with a divided heart, not because you are unworthy, but because you cannot see clearly while holding two opposing frequencies. Fear blinds, love unveils, division distorts, unity clarifies. To see the kingdom, you must look through the eye of wholeness. You must see God in all, and all in God. Not with religious eyes, but with awakened sight. Not as doctrine, but as direct experience. The kingdom is here, but to dwell in it, you must live as if it is real. You must vibrate as if it is your natural state. You must breathe as if you belong there, because you do. That is the secret of transformation. You do not wait to see it before you believe. You believe, and then you see. You align with the frequency first, and then the experience follows. Every mystic who ever pierced the veil said the same thing in different words. Reality is layered, And the kingdom is the highest octave of consciousness, available to all, but seen by few. Why? Because it requires inner stillness. It requires a kind of sacred bravery, to leave behind the noise of the senses and return to the still point within, to stop seeking outside and start recognizing inside. There is no outer proof for this realm. The proof is the transformation that occurs when you live from it. The proof is the peace that surpasses understanding. The proof is the love that flows without condition. Heaven is not held by the world, it is held by your recognition. When you align with it, you do not escape the world, you redeem it. You become a bridge between dimensions. You walk the same streets, but they shine with a new light. You speak the same words, but they carry divine charge. You breathe the same air, but you feel the wind of spirit in every inhalation. The awakened soul brings heaven to earth, not by force, but by frequency. You become a living bridge, a portal, a doorway where others may glimpse the light within themselves, not because you preach, but because your presence speaks of something higher, something steady, something untouched by the chaos of appearances. The kingdom is here, but it is accessed by those who remember their true name. Your name is not fear, it is not guilt, it is not striving. Your name is I am, presence, wholeness, peace. So if you are seeking heaven, pause, breathe, turn inward. It is not above you. It is not after death. It is now. It is you without the veil of separation. And when you begin to live from that awareness, when you pray, act, and think from the consciousness of wholeness, everything shifts. The birds seem to sing a little clearer. The problems seem a little smaller. The path seems more lit. Why? Because you are no longer seeing through fear. You are seeing through truth. You are no longer vibrating separation. You are embodying unity. Heaven is not a future reward. It is the present inheritance of the awakened soul. So don't wait. Don't beg. Don't strive. Be still. And know, the kingdom is here, and you are standing at its center. You always have been. Chapter 4. Prayer as Spiritual Technology. The Sacred Science of Alignment. You have been taught to plead, to kneel with trembling lips, to whisper hopes to a sky you fear may not be listening. But prayer, true prayer, is nothing like this. Prayer is not the language of the beggar. It is the code of the Creator. It is not supplication. It is activation. You were not meant to ask as if God were far. You were meant to align as if God were here, because He is. Because God is the very consciousness through which you pray. Real prayer is not speech. It is not a ritual. It is not the correct sequence of words mumbled in desperation or hope. It is vibration. It is an inner agreement. It is the moment your soul comes into resonance with the frequency of divine law. And in that instant, what you seek is no longer distant. It is present, alive, active, in motion. Prayer is not magic. It is spiritual technology. It is the interface between human consciousness and infinite mind. It is the sacred science of alignment. When Jesus said, "Enter your closet," He did not mean 4 walls and a locked door. He meant to go inward, into the secret place of the mind, the subconscious, the sacred field where the Word is made flesh. He was teaching you the most powerful metaphysical truth in existence. Reality is shaped not by outer action, but by inner alignment. Not by what you do, but by what you become in consciousness. To pray is to tune your consciousness like an instrument until its tone matches the tone of the answer you seek, until your vibration becomes coherent with your desire. You do not pray to get God to move. You pray to move yourself into harmony with what already is, with what already exists in the realm of infinite possibility. This is why so many prayers go unanswered, not because God is silent, but because the prayer was not in true alignment. It was fear. It was doubt dressed in holy words. It was a contradiction vibrating as a petition. The divine does not respond to words. The divine responds to the state. Too frequently. To the coherent vibration of consciousness aligned with truth. Every answered prayer is the result of a shifted state of being. You do not receive because you say the right things. You receive because you become the right frequency. You become the one who knows, not hopes, not pleads, not waits, but knows that what is asked is already given. Faith is not an emotion. It is a spiritual certainty that bends reality to match it. It is consciousness so aligned with truth that doubt cannot find a place to land. So when you pray, do not speak as one trying to persuade. Speak as one awakening a law that is already built into the structure of the universe. Speak as one who remembers their divine authority. When you affirm, when you declare a truth such as I am whole or divine abundance flows through me, you are not trying to convince God. You are establishing the pattern. You are planting the seed in the soil of your subconscious. You are aligning your frequency with the truth you wish to experience. And when it is felt, believed, embodied, the law goes to work. Not later, now. The moment alignment occurs, the universe begins to rearrange itself around your new vibration, but the fruit appears in time, because your faith must have room to grow, because the outer world needs time to catch up with your inner shift. Prayer is not about when, it is about what. What are you vibrating into the field of infinite intelligence? What frequency are you broadcasting to the universe? And what you vibrate, you will see. What you consistently hold in consciousness, you will experience. This is the law. This is how the universe operates. There is no one listening to your words in the sky. There is something deeper in listening to your vibration within. God is not moved by emotion. He is moved by alignment with spiritual law. This is why prayer, when done rightly, brings peace before the outer world changes. Because peace was never the result. It was the evidence of alignment. It was the sign that you had touched the holy circuit. If your prayer ends in anxiety, it is not prayer. It is fear pretending to be faith. But if your prayer ends in stillness, in the soft silence of knowing, then you have touched the sacred frequency. You have remembered who you are. And from that state, life begins to rearrange itself around you. The people, the resources, the openings, they begin to appear, not because you force them, but because the universe cannot help but mirror your inner shift. You are not a powerless voice crying out into the darkness. You are the child of divine mind, holding within you the keys to the kingdom. Prayer is one of those keys, but it only turns when you stop begging and start aligning. When you affirm, you are not making something true. You are declaring what is already eternally true, until it becomes your personal experience. Your affirmation becomes your vibration. Your vibration becomes your identity. Your identity becomes your world. So choose your words with reverence, not because God needs them, but because you do. Every time you speak truth from the center of your being, you reshape the pattern. You reprogram the field. You realign the structure of the invisible blueprint from which your life unfolds. This is prayer, not superstition, not performance, not desperation, but spiritual precision. It is the sacred science of union, the act of stepping into divine resonance. And when you do, when your thought, your emotion, and your energy agree, the law obeys. Not because you earned it, but because the law is faithful. It cannot deny itself. God cannot withhold. He is already giving all the time. The only question is, are you in a state where you can receive? That is what true prayer does. It makes you receptive. It cleanses the doubt. It lifts the mind. It softens the heart. It quiets the fear. And it tunes your soul to the frequency of what you already are in God. So let your life become a living prayer. Let each breath align with truth. Let each thought speak love. Let each moment become an act of remembrance. You do not have to climb a mountain to be heard. You only need to become still. Because in the stillness, you are closest to God. And from that center, everything real flows. Chapter 5. The inner determines the outer. You are not the puppet, you are the puppeteer. The world has taught you to chase, to react, to control the outer conditions like a gardener frantically trimming leaves while the roots rot in silence. But the truth is this, you are not reacting to life. Life is reacting to you. The world you walk through, the relationships you experience, the wealth you attract or repel, the health you express or suppress, these are not random. They are not accidents, they are not punishments from an angry God. They are echoes, reflections, sacred consequences of the patterns within. They are the outer manifestation of your inner vibration. You are not the puppet of circumstance. You are the cause, not in ego, in principle, not in blame, in divine law, not in guilt, in power, as within, so without. This is not philosophy, this is physics. Spiritual physics operates through consciousness. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. What you consistently hold in consciousness, what you believe when no one's watching, what you feel in your bones, in your breath, in your silent thoughts at dawn. Your inner world is not private, it is vibrational, and the field around you listens more closely than you know, not to your words, but to your frequency, not to your hopes, but to your assumptions. What you resist within dominates without. What you cling to internally enslaves you externally. What you judge becomes your mirror. What you fear becomes your master. The law is impersonal. It is not moral. It is mechanical. It does not care if you are good or bad, worthy or unworthy. It responds to what you hold as true. It reflects what you vibrate as real. This is not a punishment. It is your greatest power. You were not created to be shaped by the world. You were created to shape it, to mold it, to direct it through the power of your consciousness. And if your life feels heavy, chaotic, unjust, go not to the world for answers. Go to your beliefs. Go to your assumptions. Go to the frequency you're broadcasting from the depths of your being. Ask yourself, what am I assuming about life? What am I assuming about myself? What laws am I obeying with my subconscious mind? Because you are always obeying something, some idea. Some conclusions are drawn in childhood or pain or habit. Some quiet inherited lie that says, I'm not safe. I'm not enough. I must strive to be loved. I must shrink to be accepted. But none of these are true. They are simply old inner causes, and what was created by thought can be recreated by thought. What was programmed by consciousness can be reprogrammed by consciousness. You are not broken. You are programmed, and programming can be rewritten. The code can be changed. The frequency can be shifted. The spiritual path is not about fixing. It is about recognizing, noticing where you have accepted lies and choosing truth again, seeing where you have agreed with limitation, and remembering your limitless nature. When you believe you are poor, you repel abundance no matter how hard you work. When you believe you are unlovable, you push away love, even as you crave it. When you believe you are powerless, the world will gladly prove you right. But change that belief, shift that frequency, align with a new truth, and the outer must follow. Not instantly, not magically, but inevitably, because law cannot fail. The outer is not causal. It is clay molded by your inner image. It is effective, shaped by your inner cause. It is a reflection, determined by your inner light. And if you want to change your life, you must become bold enough to change your self-concept. Not superficially, but at the deepest level, in the heart, in the feeling tone you carry when you're not trying to be positive. You must reprogram your inner authority. You must reclaim your divine birthright. You must remember that you are not at the mercy of the world. The world is at the service of your consciousness, because here is the hard truth. If you do not own your mind, something else will. Culture will. Trauma will. History will. Fear will. And they will script your life in their image until you awaken and say, enough. Your world does not need fixing. It needs re-seeing. And you are the one with the eyes to do it. You are the one with the power to shift the lens through which reality is perceived. So stop blaming. Blame is a declaration of powerlessness, and you are not powerless. You are the most powerful force in your universe when you remember who you are. Even sickness, yes, even that, is often the final echo of a long-held misalignment. Not because you are guilty, but because your body speaks the language of the soul. And every disease is a message, an invitation to listen, to correct, to return to harmony. Do not hate your conditions. They are messengers, midwives of awakening. They say, "This is what your inner climate looks like in form. Would you like to choose again?" And you can, at any moment, in any circumstance, under any condition. You can choose again. The shift begins within, not by force but by awareness. Notice the thought, name the belief, trace the fear, and then interrupt the pattern. Plant a new seed, not once but daily. Repetition is power, because the outer will only yield when the inner becomes unshakable. You cannot think a new thought once and expect the universe to obey. But hold that thought, live it, feel it, embody it, and the world must obey. It is the law. You are not a leaf in the wind. You are the wind itself, if only you'd remember. You are not a wave tossed by the ocean. You are the ocean, expressing as a wave. So write this on your heart. Nothing in your life is beyond your power to shift once you stop looking out there and start transforming in here. You are the cause. And the cause can always be changed. The frequency can always be shifted. The vibration can always be upgraded. This is your power. This is your birthright. This is the kingdom within, expressing as the world without. Epilogue. The kingdom is here, live from it. You were never meant to reach, only to realize. You were never meant to reach the kingdom. You were meant to realize it, not by climbing, not by earning, but by remembering what has always been. The journey was never to a place, but to a state of consciousness where you are no longer at war with life, where you no longer beg God to show up because you've realized he never left. The kingdom is not distant. It is not hidden in stars or scriptures or futures. It is the atmosphere of truth already present, already complete, waiting for you to dwell in it. You do not have to earn this. You only have to awaken to it. You only have to remember that you never left home. You only forgot where home was. Every teaching of Jesus, every parable, every miracle, every whisper of light was not about morality. It was about metaphysics. It was about the law. It was about spiritual causation operating through consciousness. When he spoke of the kingdom, he spoke of an inner alignment so perfect that the outer world had no choice but to mirror it. He spoke of a frequency so coherent that reality bent to match it. He did not teach dogma. He encoded a blueprint, a sacred geometry of thought and consciousness designed to unlock the God within, to activate the kingdom frequency, to awaken the sleeping giant of your divine nature. The Sermon on the Mount was not a set of rules, it was a transmission. Each phrase a vibration, each teaches a law, each word is a key to unlock the prison of limitation. You are not a sinner crawling toward grace, you are the offspring of divine mind, created to co-create, to live from within. You've listened to the main teaching, you've felt the activation, you've remembered the kingdom within, but now we go deeper. What I'm about to share with you are the frequency codes, the advanced techniques that the mystics used, that Emmet practiced in private, that Jesus demonstrated but never fully explained in public. These are not theories. These are not concepts. These are living technologies of consciousness, practical methods for those who are ready to stop learning about the kingdom and start living from it. If you're still thinking this is just spiritual philosophy, this bonus chapter is not for you. But if you've felt the shift, if something has awakened, if you're ready to become a conscious operator of spiritual law, then what comes next will change how you move through reality forever. This is the advanced curriculum, the graduate level training, the frequency codes that turn seekers into finders. Are you ready? Because once you learn these codes, there's no going back to unconscious living. Frequency Code 1, the Reality Reset Protocol. The first code is what I call the Reality Reset Protocol. This is how you instantly shift from a lower frequency to a higher one when life seems to be reflecting old patterns. Most people try to change their outer world when they should be resetting their inner frequency. Here's how the masters do it. Step 1, the pause. The moment you notice you're in a lower frequency, fear, doubt, anger, lack, you pause. Not to judge it, but to recognize it. You say internally, I notice I am broadcasting from name the frequency. This is not my true frequency. Step 2. The disconnect. You consciously disconnect from that frequency. Imagine unplugging from that emotional state, like unplugging a device from the wall. You say, I withdraw my energy from this frequency. I am not this vibration. Step 3. The reconnect. Now you consciously choose your frequency, not from hope, not from trying, but from remembering. You say, I now align with the frequency of peace, love, abundance, wholeness. This is my natural state. This is who I am. Step 4. The embodiment. You breathe this new frequency into your body. Feel it in your cells. Let it become your posture, your breathing, your energy field. You don't think it, you become it. Step 5. The assumption. You assume this is now your reality. You move, speak, and act from this frequency as if it's the most natural thing in the world, because it is. This entire process takes 30 seconds, but those 30 seconds can shift your entire day, your entire week, your entire life trajectory. The key is consistency. Every time you catch yourself in a lower frequency, you reset. No judgment, no drama, just conscious recalibration. This is how you become a frequency master instead of a frequency victim. Frequency code 2, the assumption bridge technique. The second code is the assumption bridge technique. This is how you move from where you are to where you want to be without the struggle, without the gap, without the waiting. Most people create a vibrational gap between their current reality and their desired reality. They say, I want this, while feeling, I don't have this. This gap creates resistance, delay, and often complete blockage. The masters knew a different way. They built assumption bridges. Here's how it works, the current state recognition. First, you acknowledge where you are without resistance. I am currently experiencing current situation. This is what my past frequency has created. I accept this without judgment. The bridge construction. Now, instead of jumping to your desired outcome, you build a bridge of assumptions. You create intermediate states that feel believable to your nervous system. For example, if you're experiencing financial lack but want abundance, don't jump to, I am wealthy, if your system rejects it. Instead, bridge, I am learning to receive. I am opening to new possibilities. I am attracting opportunities. I am experiencing increasing flow. I am living in abundance. The assumption. Embodiment. You live from each bridge assumption until it feels natural, then move to the next. You don't perform it, you inhabit it. You breathe it, walk it, and speak from it. The natural progression. Each assumption naturally leads to the next. Your outer world begins to shift to match each new assumption. You're not forcing change, you're allowing evolution. The arrival. Before you know it, you've crossed the bridge. You're living from your desired frequency not because you achieved something, but because you became someone who naturally experiences that reality. This technique eliminates the struggle because there's no gap to cross, only a bridge to walk. Frequency code 3, the instant manifestation formula. The third code is the instant manifestation formula. This is how you collapse time between intention and manifestation. Most people think manifestation takes time because they're operating from linear thinking. But consciousness operates in the eternal now. When you align with this truth, manifestation becomes instantaneous. Here's the formula the masters used. I plus A tau plus E plus instant manifestation. I, intention, crystal clear. Your intention must be laser focused. Not I want to be happy, but I intend to embody unshakable peace in this moment. Specific, present tense, embodied. A farked, assumption, complete. You assume it's already done. Not that it will happen, but that it has happened. You live from the end. You think from the fulfilled state. You breathe from the completed intention. Emotion, aligned. Your emotional state must match your assumption. If you assume you have peace, you must feel peaceful. If you assume you have love, you must feel loved. The emotion is the fuel of manifestation. Release, total. You completely let go of the how, when, and where. You release all attachment to the process. You trust the intelligence of the universe to handle the details. You become outcome independent. When these four elements align simultaneously, manifestation is instant, not because you forced it, but because you allowed it, because you became vibrationally identical to your desire. The practice. Set your intention with crystal clarity. 2. Assume it's already accomplished. 3. Feel the emotion of the fulfilled state. 4. Release all attachments to the process. 5. Move forward as if it's already done. This isn't wishful thinking. This is quantum mechanics applied to consciousness. This is how reality actually works when you understand the frequency nature of existence. Frequency Code 4, the Master's Daily Protocol. The fourth and final code is the Master's Daily Protocol. This is how you maintain kingdom consciousness throughout your day, regardless of external circumstances. This is not a morning routine. This is a way of being, a continuous frequency maintenance system that keeps you aligned with your highest nature. Upon waking, the frequency declaration. Before you check your phone, before you think about your day, you declare your frequency. I am consciousness expressing as your name. I am the kingdom of heaven in human form. Today, I live from my divine nature. Throughout the day, the conscious check-ins. Every hour, you do a frequency check. What frequency am I broadcasting right now? If it's aligned, you amplify it. If it's not, you reset using the Reality Reset Protocol. In interactions, the recognition practice. With every person you encounter, you silently recognize, the kingdom of heaven in me greets the kingdom of heaven in you. This keeps you in unity, consciousness instead of separation consciousness. During challenges, the reframe technique. When challenges arise, you immediately reframe. This situation is the universe showing me where I still have unconscious patterns. What frequency do I need to embody to transform this? In decision-making, the frequency filter. Before making any decision, you ask, what would someone living from kingdom consciousness choose here? Then you choose from that frequency, not from fear or lack. Before sleep, the gratitude transmission. You end your day by transmitting gratitude for every experience, knowing that each one served your awakening. You program your subconscious with kingdom frequencies for overnight integration. The weekly frequency audit. Once a week, you audit your frequency patterns. What frequencies did I spend the most time in this week? What patterns am I ready to upgrade? What new frequencies am I ready to embody? This protocol turns your entire life into a spiritual practice, not separate from life, but as life. Every moment becomes an opportunity to embody the kingdom. Integration and closing. These four frequency codes are not just techniques, they are technologies of transformation. They are how you graduate from seeking the kingdom to living as the kingdom. But remember, knowledge without application is just entertainment. These codes only work when you use them, when you practice them, when you live them. Start with one code, master it. Let it become second nature, then add the next. Don't try to do everything at once. Mastery is built through consistency, not intensity. And here's the most important thing. You already have everything you need. These codes don't give you power. They help you remember the power you already are. They don't create the kingdom. They help you recognize the kingdom you already live in. The frequency of the kingdom is not something you achieve. It's something you are. These codes simply help you tune in to what has always been broadcasting. So, go now. Practice these codes. Live from these frequencies. Become the conscious operator of spiritual law that you were always meant to be. The kingdom is within you. The codes are in your hands. The frequency is yours to choose. What will you broadcast today?